smells good. Almost ready.
Have you ever wondered what life was like for the first humans on Earth? Imagine a world without phones, without cities, without even the wheel. Cavemen, our distant ancestors, had to survive and thrive in a wild, untamed world, and their daily routines were vastly different from anything we can even imagine today. But what did they actually do all day? How did they spend their time? And what challenges did they face in their quest for survival? Let's unravel the mysteries of caveman life and find out. The morning rituals, waking up to a wild world, the early dawn, understanding the environment, and their primitive shelters. Picture this. It's early morning, and the sun is just beginning to peek over the horizon. The world is quiet except for the rustling of the wind through trees and the distant sounds of animals. For the cavemen, this marked the beginning of another day in a dangerous, unpredictable world. Their shelters were a far cry from the cozy homes we know today. Instead of brick walls and comfy beds, cavemen woke up in caves, makeshift huts, or even under the open sky. Caves were the most common form of shelter, offering protection from the harsh elements and dangerous animals. But not every day was spent in a cave. When cavemen were on the move, they would use temporary shelters, like tents made of animal skins or branches. These structures were designed to provide just enough coverage to protect them from rain, cold, or heat while being easy enough to pack up and carry when necessary. But what was it like waking up in these primitive environments? The first thing that comes to mind is the discomfort. Without mattresses or pillows, sleeping on the hard ground or rough cave floors wasn't exactly a peaceful slumber. The cold could seep into their bones during winter nights, and summer nights would be sweltering under animal hides. But despite the discomforts, their shelters provided something invaluable: safety. They shielded the cavemen from predators, kept them hidden from enemies, and provided some relief from the elements. As cavemen opened their eyes to the first light of day, their instincts kicked in. They weren't just waking up to go about their day casually, they were gearing up for survival. Their shelters weren't just places to sleep, they were fortresses that allowed them to rest, regroup, and face the dangers of the wilderness with some semblance of security. Their immediate environment was the wild and tamed forests, rocky mountains, and wide open plains. Depending on the tribe's location, they had to deal with a variety of dangers: wolves, bears, mammoths, or other predators. The place they woke up in determined how they would face these challenges, setting the tone for the rest of their day. Gathering essentials, finding food, water, and safety. The first moments of the day weren't about stretching and yawning like we might today. For cavemen, it was all about securing the basics: food, water, and safety. And these tasks weren't as simple as grabbing a quick breakfast and a bottle of water from the fridge. First, finding water was a crucial priority. Water was life, and in prehistoric times, it wasn't always easy to find. They couldn't just turn on a tap. Cavemen had to know the landscape well: where rivers flowed, where fresh springs bubbled up, and where to find clean sources of water in an often dry or hostile environment. Water was essential not only for hydration, but also for cooking food, cleaning, and even for the use of making tools or weapons like sharpening stone. But water alone didn't sustain them. Food was the other critical resource. The method for getting food varied depending on the season and the tribe's location. For the hunter-gatherer, food could mean anything from hunting large game like deer or mammoths to foraging for berries, nuts, and edible plants. In the early mornings, hunting parties might set out with spears or rudimentary bows, looking for prey. Meanwhile, others might gather plants or check traps they set the night before. Each member of the tribe had a role to play in the quest for food. Even children and elderly people weren't completely exempt. While they may not have hunted large animals, they could gather smaller items like eggs, fruits, or berries. When the hunt was successful, cavemen had to ensure they preserved what they caught, as food was never guaranteed. Preservation methods were limited, but they might dry or smoke meat over fire to keep it from spoiling. And even if they didn't catch a big animal, gathering plants or fishing provided crucial calories. To survive, safety was also at the top of the list. Once food and water were secured, it was time to scout for any potential dangers. The surrounding environment was full of risks. Wild animals could be lurking nearby, or rival tribes might be on the prowl. Cavemen had to constantly be alert and prepared to defend their territory. The day started with vigilance and preparedness. If a threat was spotted, they had to be ready to act, whether by hiding in their shelter, setting up defensive traps, or arming themselves with weapons. The morning ritual, then, wasn't just about getting up. It was about getting ready for what nature would throw at them. Every task, from finding water to ensuring safety, was part of their strategy for survival, laying the foundation for the rest of their day. The social aspect, how cavemen interacted. In their tribe's asterisk in the mornings, while cavemen were busy securing the essentials for survival, there was a deeper, more social layer to their day. It wasn't all about solitary survival, it was about the community. The tribe was their lifeline, and how they interacted in those early hours shaped the dynamics of their society. Cavemen lived in tight-knit groups, typically composed of family units. These groups relied on each other for food, protection, and emotional support. There was no modern entertainment or technology to keep them occupied, so their social bonds were crucial. Even in the mornings, socializing took place, whether it was in the form of sharing tasks, discussing hunting strategies, or simply communicating to ensure everyone was accounted for. The leaders of the tribe, usually the strongest or most experienced, played a significant role in setting the tone for the day. These leaders would often oversee the hunting strategies, or delegating tasks for the gathering efforts. In some cases, their role was also to ensure harmony and security within the group, making sure that everyone followed the tribe's social norms and hierarchy. Even the youngest members of the tribe had roles to play. Children, while not out hunting large game, were crucial for learning the ways of survival. They'd often accompany adults, observing how to gather food, hunt small prey, or find water. In a way, mornings weren't just about preparation for the day, they were a time for passing on knowledge, traditions, and social bonding. For the adults, it was important to check in with one another and ensure everything was running smoothly. The morning routines weren't just about securing survival. They were about reinforcing the sense of community and ensuring the tribe could thrive together. Trust, cooperation, and communication were key to survival, and mornings served as a time to reaffirm these bonds. In essence, the morning rituals of the cavemen were about more than just survival. They were about preparing the body and the tribe for the day ahead, setting the stage for a day full of challenges and opportunities. And while the environment was harsh, the social aspect of their lives helped them face the hardships together as a unit. The daily struggle, hunting and gathering, the hunt, techniques, tools, and strategies used by cavemen to hunt animals for early humans. Survival wasn't guaranteed. Every day it was a struggle for food, and hunting was at the core of that fight. The hunt was not just a task, it was a life or death endeavor that required skill, strategy, and teamwork. For cavemen, the tools they used to hunt were primitive, but effective in the brutal environment they faced. The most common tools were spears, stone knives, and later, bows and arrows. These simple yet powerful tools were essential for bringing down large prey like mammoths, bison, or deer. In fact, these tools were often crafted with great care, shaped and sharpened from stone or bone, making them effective for piercing, cutting, and killing. Early humans learned to use their surroundings to their advantage. Stones, bones, and wood were not just random materials, they were transformed into weapons of survival. The hunting techniques themselves were diverse. Early humans often worked in groups, relying on coordination and communication to trap or corner their prey. One common technique was known as driving, where a group would surround a herd of animals and use their tools or weapons to steer the animals toward a trap or a cliffside. This method required precise timing and deep knowledge of the animals' behavior. Hunters needed to know when to push, when to retreat, and how to stay quiet enough to avoid alarming their prey. Another strategy was ambush hunting, where hunters would hide and wait for prey to come into range. This was especially effective for solitary or smaller animals with tools like spears. Cavemen could take down a deer or wild boar in one swift strike, making this method both efficient and deadly. Cavemen also made use of traps, simple snares, pits, and even rock walls were employed to catch smaller animals like rabbits, birds, and fish. These traps allowed them to set up a steady source of food, without needing to actively hunt every day, providing a backup when larger hunting expeditions weren't successful. The hunt wasn't just about the physical act of killing, it was about careful planning, tracking, and understanding the environment. Cavemen had an intimate knowledge of the land, knowing where prey could be found, the migration patterns of large animals, and the best times to hunt. They could read the signs in nature, the prints left behind in the mud, the broken branches, in the woods, and the sounds in the distance. Every hunt was a test of their survival instincts and their ability to work as a group. Foraging for survival, the importance of gathering plants, nuts, and fruits while hunting might have been the most exciting part of the day. It wasn't the only way cavemen found food. In fact, foraging was just as essential to their survival. Cavemen understood that they had to balance their diet to stay healthy and energized, and foraging for plants, nuts, fruits, and seeds played a crucial role in this. Foraging was a skill that required deep knowledge of the environment. Cavemen had to know which plants were edible, which could be used for medicinal purposes, and which were poisonous. This knowledge was passed down from generation to generation, allowing the tribe to avoid deadly mistakes. Some of the plants they foraged for included berries, roots, mushrooms, and leafy greens. In some regions, cavemen even gathered seaweed or other marine plants, supplementing their diet with essential minerals and vitamins. The importance of foraging became especially evident in times when hunting wasn't fruitful. If a hunt failed, or if prey was too scarce, foraging ensured the tribe could still eat. It also provided essential variety in their diet. While meat was a valuable source of protein, plants and fruits offered vital nutrients like vitamins and fiber. The combination of meat from the hunt and the fruits and plants from foraging helped cavemen maintain a well-rounded diet, improving their chances of surviving harsh winters or long periods of scarcity. Foraging wasn't just about gathering anything that looked edible. It was about timing and efficiency. Some plants and fruits could only be gathered during specific seasons, while others were easier to find during certain weather conditions. Cavemen knew when to gather, when to store, and how to preserve their foraged food for future use. In addition to food, foraging for materials like bark, leaves, and wood for fire building or shelter construction was equally important. Women and children played an essential role in foraging. While the men often focused on hunting large animals, women were typically the primary foragers, gathering fruits, nuts, and smaller animals like birds or fish. Children, as they grew older, were taught the skills needed to help with foraging. They'd gather seeds, berries, or small plants, learning how to identify safe and nutritious food. This division of labor allowed the tribe to cover more ground and increase their chances of a successful day of food gathering. The role of the tribe. How family units and social roles influenced hunting and gathering. Activicious Cavemen didn't hunt and gather alone. Survival depended on the strength of the tribe. The structure of early human tribes was complex and highly organized. Social roles within the tribe were defined, and everyone had a part to play in the hunt, in gathering, and in ensuring the survival of the group as a whole. Family units were the backbone of these tribes. The strongest members of the group were typically the men, who took on the role of hunting and protecting the tribe. However, their success didn't come without the vital contributions of others. The women played an equally important role in providing food, ensuring that the tribe had a reliable source of sustenance when hunting was less predictable. While the men might be focused on large game hunting, the women were expert foragers, tracking down roots, fruits, and other edible plants that were crucial for the tribe's survival. Children, though they didn't participate in the hunt directly, were integrated into the tribe's daily activities. As they grew, they learned to help in gathering food and performing other survival tasks. This interdependence created a strong sense of unity within the tribe. Children were taught how to identify food, how to handle tools, and how to contribute in whatever way they could. Elders in the tribe also played a significant role. With their experience and wisdom, They provided guidance on the best hunting spots, the safest areas to gather food, and the cultural practices that ensured the tribe's survival. Elders often acted as mentors, passing on the knowledge they had accumulated over their lifetimes, ensuring that younger generations knew how to survive in an unpredictable world. Cavemen were also highly social, and their collaboration extended beyond food gathering. They shared knowledge, strategies, and tools, and the tribe operated as a unit with a clear division of labor. Teamwork wasn't just encouraged, it was essential. Every successful hunt, every successful forage was a direct result of the tribe working together, with each member performing their specific role to ensure the survival of the group as a whole. This sense of community was vital not just for food and resources, but for emotional support as well. In the face of constant danger and uncertainty, the strength of the tribe through mutual support, shared responsibilities, and interdependent roles was the key to making it through each day. Cavemen had to rely on each other for survival, and in turn, they forged bonds that helped them endure the harshest conditions the world could throw at them. After the hunt, tools, fire, and shelter crafting tools, the development and importance of primitive tools in daily life. After a successful hunt, the work didn't stop for cavemen. In fact, the tools they crafted and used after the hunt were just as essential to their survival as the hunt itself. Tools were vital not only for hunting, but also for tasks like preparing food, building shelter, and defending against predators. But how did cavemen develop these tools, and why were they so crucial to their daily existence? Primitive tools were initially crafted from stone, bone, and wood. These materials were abundant in their environment and could be shaped into a variety of instruments. The most common tools were sharp-edged stones, which could be used for cutting, scraping, or processing meat. These early stone tools were made through a process known as flint knapping, where rocks like flint or obsidian were struck with other rocks to produce sharp, jagged edges. These tools were versatile and could serve multiple purposes, from skinning animals to cutting through tough plant material. Stone axes and hammers were also essential for a variety of tasks. They were used for chopping wood, shaping other tools, and even building shelters. Woodworking was a significant part of their lives, especially when creating shelters, making spears, or crafting traps for smaller animals. A stone axe, combined with the right technique, could fell trees, carve logs, and even shape animal bones into tools. The importance of tools went beyond hunting and gathering. For cavemen, tools were also about efficiency and survival. Tools allowed them to process food more quickly, build better shelters, and protect themselves more effectively. The development of these early tools marked a significant leap in human evolution, giving cavemen the edge they needed to survive in an unforgiving world. As their understanding of tools evolved, so did their ability to manipulate the environment around them. They didn't just use tools to get by, they adapted them to fit their specific needs, constantly improving their designs. Over time, tools became more specialized, ranging from the creation of arrowheads to the refinement of grinding stones for processing grains or seeds. These innovations made daily life easier, enabling cavemen to thrive in ways that were unimaginable before the development of tools. Mastering fire. The discovery of fire and how it impacted their lives. Fire was more than just a useful tool. For cavemen, it was a life-changing discovery that completely altered the course of human history. Early humans likely discovered fire by accident, perhaps from lightning strikes or volcanic activity. But once they learned to harness it, their lives were forever transformed. The most immediate benefit of fire was warmth. In the prehistoric world, the temperature could drop dramatically, especially during the winter months, and the ability to control fire allowed cavemen to survive in colder climates. Fire provided heat, making it possible to live in areas that would have been otherwise inhospitable. But warmth was just the beginning of fire's impact. Fire also became essential for cooking. Before fire, cavemen could only eat food raw, which meant that meat had to be tough and difficult to digest, and plants were limited to what could be eaten raw. But with fire, cavemen could cook their food, making it more palatable and easier to digest. Cooking also allowed them to access more nutrients from their food. as the process of cooking breaks down certain substances that can otherwise be harmful or indigestible. This discovery not only made food taste better, but also improved their overall nutrition and health. But fire was not just used for cooking, it was a tool for survival. It allowed cavemen to defend themselves from predators. A campfire could keep wild animals at bay, making it harder for predators to attack. Additionally, fire was crucial for lighting up the night, providing a sense of security in an otherwise dark and dangerous world. By night, the fire became the center of their social life, offering both warmth and light as they gathered around it. The process of controlling fire also helped cavemen develop another key skill, metallurgy. By learning how to manipulate fire to create heat, cavemen were able to work with metals, gradually leading to the creation of metal tools. Fire, in essence, opened the door to further technological advancements, allowing cavemen to forge new tools, cook more efficiently, and live longer, healthier lives. Mastering fire wasn't just about making life more comfortable, it was about survival. It was about using one of the most powerful elements in nature to give them an advantage over the environment and predators. It was a turning point in human evolution that shaped their ability to adapt and thrive in ways that set them apart from other animals. Home life, the upkeep of shelter, security, and how they ensured a safe living environment after the hunt and the mastery of fire. Cavemen had to ensure that their shelter and living environment were secure and maintained. The upkeep of their homes was not as simple as retreating to a cave and calling it a day. Shelters needed to be maintained, repaired, and fortified to ensure the safety of the entire tribe. For most cavemen, their primary shelter was a cave, but caves weren't always readily available, and not every tribe could rely on finding one that was large enough or safe enough to inhabit. This led to the construction of more temporary shelters, made from branches, leaves, and animal hides. Building these shelters required careful planning and teamwork. Shelters weren't just a place to sleep. They were also crucial for protecting the tribe from the elements and animals. In regions with extreme weather, these shelters provided much-needed insulation from cold or heat. Cavemen also had to fortify their shelters for security. Predators, such as lions, wolves, and bears, posed a constant threat, and the tribe needed to ensure they were safe during the night. Sometimes, they would position their shelters in areas that were difficult for predators to reach, like atop cliffs or in areas with dense vegetation. Additionally, they often constructed barriers around their shelter areas to keep animals away, such as thorny bushes or even simple stone walls. The safety of the shelter didn't just rely on physical barriers. Cavemen had to be vigilant and work together to keep their homes secure. Watchmen were often stationed to keep lookout for any approaching threats, whether it was a wild animal or rival tribes. This level of vigilance required constant awareness of their surroundings. As a result, daily life was not just about hunting, gathering, or using tools. It was about ensuring that the shelter, the most important aspect of their survival, remained intact and secure. During the day, the upkeep of shelter was often a communal effort. While some members of the tribe were out hunting or gathering, others worked on repairing and reinforcing the shelter. This division of labor ensured that everyone contributed to maintaining the tribe's living conditions. Over time, cavemen also learned to build more advanced shelters, adding extra layers of protection and improving the overall design. The tribe's security wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. A sense of safety allowed cavemen to rest at night, build stronger social bonds, and develop a community. The home was the central hub of their lives. It was where they slept, cooked, bonded, and found refuge from the dangers of the wild. Just as fire had a profound impact on their survival, so did the secure environment they created through their shelters. The nightfall, resting, rituals, and survival nightly watch, protecting the tribe from wild animals and other threats. The day came to a close, and the sun dipped below the horizon. The world of cavemen shifted from a bustling world of hunting and gathering to a much more dangerous, unpredictable environment. Nightfall brought with it the chill of darkness, and with it, new challenges. While humans are often most vulnerable when the sun sets, early humans had an even greater reason to be on alert. Predators, the protection of the tribe, became paramount. As wild animals, wolves, lions, and even large predatory creatures like saber-toothed cats prowled the wilderness in search of food. During the day, cavemen could often see potential threats coming from miles away, but at night, darkness made everything more dangerous. Even the most well-protected shelters, like caves, couldn't offer absolute safety from prowling predators or unexpected attacks. This is where the nightly watch came into play. The tribe would establish a routine of watching and guarding throughout the night, ensuring that they weren't caught off guard by any intruders. The leader of the tribe, or a trusted member, would often be in charge of organizing the watch, assigning specific individuals or groups to keep an eye out. These guards would either stand watch in shifts or use the cover of the darkness to stay hidden, only revealing themselves when a threat emerged. The goal was not just to stay awake and alert, but to ensure that any potential predator or enemy was spotted before they could get close enough to attack. In addition to human vigilance, the fire also played a critical role in defending the tribe during the night. A campfire acted as both a deterrent and a signal. Wild animals typically avoided fire due to its heat and light, which made it a powerful defense mechanism. A well-maintained fire could act as a fortress, providing light and warmth to the tribe while keeping predators at bay. It wasn't just wild animals that posed a threat during the night. In some cases, rival tribes might try to raid or attack the camp. This added an extra layer of urgency to the nightly watch. The tribes might set up rudimentary defenses around their shelter, like spikes or barriers, to make it more difficult for attackers to infiltrate. Nighttime was a time of heightened tension, but the tribe's ability to keep watch and stay prepared ensured their safety. The nightly watch wasn't just about protection. It was also about communal responsibility. It was a reminder that the tribe depended on each other for survival. Trust and cooperation were vital in maintaining a secure environment, as each individual had a role to play in the safety of the group. The division of labor continued even at night, with each tribe member helping to ensure the survival of the whole. Rituals and bonding, exploring any cultural or spiritual practices they may have had since the immediate threat of predators and rivals was managed. Cavemen shifted into a different phase of their evening, a time for rituals, bonding, and communal gathering. It's believed that early humans had a rich set of rituals and practices designed to strengthen social ties, build group cohesion, and ensure the tribe's overall well-being. One of the most significant aspects of caveman life after dark was the communal gathering around the fire. This wasn't just for warmth or light, it was a time to come together and share stories, pass on knowledge, and reinforce cultural traditions. Storytelling was a vital practice in these gatherings, as it allowed the tribe to transmit important information about their world, such as hunting techniques, family histories, and survival strategies. Rituals also played an essential role in cementing the tribe's identity and providing emotional and spiritual support. Some historians believe that early humans may have had basic spiritual practices, possibly involving animism or nature worship. The tribe may have believed that spirits inhabited the natural world, trees, animals, rivers, and even the night sky, and that it was important to honor these spirits through rituals. These rituals could include dancing, chanting, or making offerings. There may have been symbolic gestures, like placing animal bones around the fire or painting sacred symbols on cave walls. The fire itself, as a source of warmth and light, might have had spiritual significance, acting as a beacon of hope and a symbol of protection from the dark forces of the night. But it wasn't all about the spiritual. The rituals of the evening were also about strengthening social bonds. These nightly gatherings allowed tribe members to share experiences, express emotions, and reinforce their place within the group. A shared ritual could have acted as a form of emotional release, allowing individuals to relax after the stress of hunting or gathering and reconnect with their community. The evening rituals were also a way to mark the passage of time. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, these rituals helped create a sense of continuity and belonging. They provided structure, grounding the tribe in something greater than the struggles of survival. This sense of belonging, of being part of something larger than oneself, likely played a role in their psychological well-being and overall survival. Resting and recharging. How cavemen rested and prepared for another day of survival after a long, exhausting day of hunting, gathering, and maintaining the tribe's safety. Rest was not just a luxury, it was a necessity. Cavemen had to ensure that they were recharged and ready for another grueling day of survival. But with the ever-present danger of predators and the harshness of the environment, how did they rest and find the peace needed for recovery? Cavemen didn't have the comforts of soft beds or blankets, so their rest came in the form of sleeping on the ground, inside their shelters, or around the fire. Often, they would sleep in shifts, especially if there were young children or elderly members in the group who needed more protection. The idea of resting was not to fall into a deep, undisturbed slumber as we do today. It was about taking brief naps and being constantly aware of any sounds or movements that could indicate danger. For some, the sounds of the forest at night might be soothing, but for others, it was a reminder to stay alert, to ensure they were ready for another day of survival. Cavemen would often focus on recharging their energy, both physically and mentally. Resting didn't just involve sleeping, it was about rehydrating, eating any leftover food from the day's hunt or foraging, and checking that weapons and tools were in working order. The physical upkeep of their bodies was just as important as resting. Cavemen would stretch their muscles and attend to any minor injuries from the day's activities. But mental rest was just as vital. After a day of constant vigilance and physical exertion, the tribe needed time to relax and bond. Nighttime rituals like storytelling, singing, or simple companionship allowed individuals to release the tension of the day and reframe their mindset. These activities created a sense of security and peace, even in the face of uncertainty, allowing the tribe to wake up the next day ready to face whatever challenges came their way. In many ways, the nighttime routine for cavemen wasn't just about surviving the night, it was about preparing for tomorrow. It was about resetting their minds and bodies, ensuring they were fit and ready for the next round of hunting, gathering, and protecting the tribe. Without adequate rest, cavemen would have struggled to keep up the pace of their daily lives, making the nighttime rituals just as important as the daytime tasks. As we've seen, the life of a caveman wasn't just about surviving, it was about adapting, overcoming, and creating a sense of community that ensured their survival in a harsh world. From the hunt to the rituals and rest, every part of their day was interconnected, showcasing their resourcefulness and resilience. Now that you've learned what cavemen actually did all day, we want to hear your thoughts. How do you think their survival strategies influenced human evolution? Drop a comment below and let us know your perspective. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the prehistoric world, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with more fascinating content from Mente Tranquila. We'll be back with more intriguing explorations into history, survival, and the fascinating world of our ancestors. Stay curious, stay calm, and keep exploring with Mente Tranquila.